Hello everyone! Today's video will explore the potential impact Jon Jones could have on Tom Aspinall's legacy. Join us as we uncover the undisclosed realities. The plan for the upcoming fight between Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blaydes is to have a match. Aspinall has been a consistent fighter, winning multiple titles and having been knocked out by many people. However, the last time he had a knee blowout was a freak accident, and it is unclear if it will work out. Aspinall's confidence in his abilities and his ability to beat strikers with no notice is expected to be an interesting aspect of the fight. He may also try to get up from a scramble, which would be important if he wants to see a Jones fire one day. However, it is unlikely that anything about this performance will change Jon Jones's trajectory. Rogan mentioned earlier that the UFC is trying to do a J. Jones Plow crossover, but it is unclear if this is ever an option for Aspinall. If Jones leaves and Stipe leaves, there may be new prospects emerging, but it is not likely that anyone will be hyped to see them. The video was written a couple months ago, and it is unclear if there will be any new prospects if Jones leaves and Stipe leaves. There are only a few situations where Tom Aspinall could win the title, and it is a flat road with no more hills to climb. So, the UFC has pinned themselves into a corner, and the outcome of the fight between Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blaydes is uncertain. While there may be new prospects emerging, it is unlikely that anyone will be hyped to see them. The Baton Pass is a significant event in the UFC, as it provides one big money fight with Jones and Stipe. However, without them, there is no Baton Pass Aspinall, who lacks massive hype and momentum. Alex Pereira, who has the bigger reach, could potentially fill the void left by Jon Jones. Jones is the money guy, and the Francis and Jones fight was what they wanted to happen. But it didn't happen. Dana doesn't want to work with Inani, and UFC does not like the idea of co-promoting. Therefore, they wouldn't use their lesser star to fill that void. Some contenders that could make compelling fights if they get wins include Gain, who could face Tom in an interesting match. However, some heavyweight prospects, such as Mick Parkin, are not considered for the upcoming fights. The win for Tom means that many people already regard him as the true champion. There are two options for Tom: looking into the future more, or focusing on his future. A successful defense against Stipe would weaken Jon Jones's title, as it shows a committed fighter willing to step up and fight for a belt. People will look at Stipe the same way as they do for Stipe, as he has a string of title defenses and is known for his commitment to fighting for a belt. It doesn't matter who they face, as long as they put together a strong defense against Stipe. Tom Aspinall, a former champion of the UFC, is facing a difficult situation as he has no one to compare him to after his recent fight. Many people believe that Jon Jones, who is considered the greatest heavyweight of all time, deserves more credit than Aspinall. However, the situation is worse than that, as everyone else has the benefit of the champions that came through the division. The only former champion that Aspinall has beaten is Andrei Arlovski, who has been let go by the UFC. This situation is particularly concerning for Jon Jones, who has the opportunity to claim the title of greatest after beating his new top contender, Stipe. Jones's fight against Stipe is seen as a way for him to prove himself as ready for the title picture, but it is not yet considered meaningful. In 10 years, people may not be as familiar with the storyline as they were in the past, and the fight may not be as well known as it seems. The narrative that everyone remembers is that Kung Lee and Nick Diaz beat Frank Shamrock, but Tom doesn't have to fight Jon for his legacy. Therefore, the situation between Aspinall and Jones is concerning, as they have an incredible talent without anyone to fight. The narrative that everyone remembers is that Jon Jones deserves more credit than Aspinall, but the reality is that people will always know what the plan is. If Aspinall fights Jon for his legacy, it could be a significant step towards achieving this goal. Tom Aspinall's legacy in boxing is expected to stand the test of time if he continues to defend the title 3 or 4 years down the line and rack up more title defenses than Stipe. He has fought with Sergey and Blaydes, also with other top heavyweights at the time, and Jon Jones. However, his legacy may be incomplete if he never fights Jon Jones. In other divisions, people still respect old champions like Anderson Silva, who cleaned out their divisions twice. However, Tom Aspinall has no one to help him build his reputation. This is why the pressure is so hard on Jon Jones. People are concerned about what's happening with Tom Aspinall, as everyone sees it in real time. They are aware of what's happening, but they don't feel that people will look back at Sergey Pavlovich and say that he wasn't anywhere near as good as people were bigging him up at. Sergey Pavlovich's VEV performance was impressive, but it was after he was knocked out himself. He looked incredibly gun-shy in his VEV performance and tried to be calculated trying to pick his moments. However, he got popped a couple times and started becoming more reluctant about defending his title. Overall, Tom Aspinall's legacy in boxing is expected to stand the test of time if he continues to defend the title and rack up more title defenses than Stipe. His legacy will be fine if he can build title defenses and never fight Jon Jones. The figures revolve around the decline of the UFC's heavyweight division, with many of its top contenders being from other promotions. The figures highlight the impressive performances of fighters like Pavlovich, who was destroying everyone in the division, and Tom, who lost to him. The figures also discuss the importance of building a legacy for the newcomers, such as GSP, who had a string of time fighting Thiago Alves, Matt Hughes, and Jose Aldo. The figures also blend on the decline of big men in the UFC, with many of them coming from other promotions. Some of these guys have brought titles from elsewhere, such as Prestige, which is no longer available. For example, Vadim Nemkov, who knocked out Ryan Bader, was extremely impressive. There are also great dudes that are not in the UFC right now that could benefit from the division. The figures also blend on the potential for the UFC to bring back great fighters, such as Parker Porter, Josh Brennan, and Alistar over DC. However, the figures also blend on the question of who the best-known prospect in the division is, as he has only been named because of his brother, Muhammad Usman. The figures also blend on the idea of a barren wasteland in the UFC, where the big men in the division have been declining. This is a concern for MMA, as they have not been able to find big names in the division. The figures also blend on the possibility of a new entrant, such as Tom Aspinall, who could potentially take the throne if he usurps the king and takes the throne. The figures also blend on the concept of the Ultimate Fighter, where the main focus is on the Ultimate Fighter rather than the current champion. Therefore, the figures highlight the decline of the UFC's heavyweight division and the need for new talent to compete in the sport. The figures also blend on the potential for the future of the division, with the possibility of a new entrant like Tom Aspinall taking the throne. The figures also blend on the ongoing debate surrounding the future of the UFC's heavyweight division and the potential for new talent to emerge. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave a comment in the comment section below.